I can get on YouTube Live. I am having issues, I'm thinking maybe with my internet, because it is not coming up on my phone. So let's check and see if this will come up live here. This is Straight Talk with MJ. Oh, I see it. Finally, thank you for joining me. This is Straight Talk with MJ. I'm your host, Michelle Jeanette. Another special video edition. I am going to put this on Facebook because if you haven't been following me, I am banned from doing live videos on Facebook for 30 days. So I am putting this on really quick. And let's see. Putting this on here. Thank you for your patience. Hope you're having a great Saturday. It is Saturday, September the 19th. And the weekend of Rosh Hashanah. So blessings with you all on that. And my parents, I'm going to tag them. They like to watch. And one more. Okay, so obviously huge news this weekend with the passing of Supreme Court Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. If 2020 couldn't get any crazier, just keeps coming and coming, doesn't it? So it should be very interesting to watch what happens in the next little bit. But I wanted to bring some information to you because there's just a lot of stuff going on, and I just kind of want to bring it all in one place and end it with, an article from Intercessors for America, ifapray.org, which they're a great source to go to for prayer, but also news. So they're really good. But the first thing is just, our condolences to the Ginsburg family. She really was, I guess, an icon for many, many, many people, and especially women, as young women. So I'm going to show you something a little disturbing, but it's a little just an indication of some of the mindset of some of these people out here. Just, you shake your head and you're like, what the heck? You just don't understand. It's hard to understand it. And from where I'm coming from, I guess, I don't know. But I have some other things to bring to you from Todd Starnes. He has a collection of All in One Place. So that was good, of people that are speaking out pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So, but I always, like to end it with something good. So the first thing, and I just want to show you is, I don't know. It was kind of interesting to me. A friend or a follow on Parler. If you don't go on Parler, if you're not familiar with that, it's a new kind of social media site similar to Twitter. It's more laid out like Twitter is laid out. You have a certain amount of characters you can type in, a lot more than Twitter. I think it's over 700 characters. So it's a lot more than Twitter. But they're not going to censor conservative talk and thought like Twitter and Facebook, even YouTube. I know I'm using them, but right now it's about the only option you have to do right now. The other thing is also, if you like YouTube, there's a new channel. I don't know if it's new, but it's newer known that Dan Bongino has moved over to and started using rumble.com. And I am not as familiar with that. So I've opened an account and I'm going to try maybe doing stuff with rumble.com. They are also like Parler, where they do not censor conservative talk and thought, which is happening a lot. So anyway, so I was over on Parler And the person that I shared that got me banned on Facebook was this journalist, not Tommy Robinson, out of Britain. And he's a British journalist who was thrown in jail for speaking out against radical Islam. Okay. And so when I shared just a simple video on Facebook from Parler, yeah, they banned me for 30 days with no live video. So that is why I'm having to do it with with YouTube. Anyway, try to work the system as best I can. But here's something kind of disturbing that I found. Let me see if I can find the link here. And it puts me in mind of children that are not, that their parents don't discipline them for behavior that is very disturbing behavior. And they just get to do whatever they want. There's no consequence for their actions or bad actions or whatever. So I wanted to bring this to you because it's so almost insane to watch sometimes. But it puts you in mind of the day that Trump was elected the first time, and you saw that picture of the girl, and she had the black hat on, and she was just screaming out to the world, okay, because she was so upset that Trump won the election. So this is sort of along that line, but it's just, I thought I'd like to show it to you, okay? This is kind of some people's mindsets. So hold on just a second. Let me push play on this. Turn it up here.
Holy fucking shit, you guys! I'm driving your car, but I just got a notification that Ruth Bader Ginsburg died!
Sorry about the language.
Could this year get any fucking worse? Ruth, you just had to make it to 2021!
Holy cow. Sorry. I should have warned you about the language there. I was like, what the heck? These poor people. I think that's an example of what some of us people that you would hear called TDS or Trump derangement syndrome. I don't know. It's like they're so full of, in my mind, it's like they don't know how to handle adversity. They don't know how to handle something that doesn't go their way. And the only thing they can do is throw a temper tantrum and scream because they weren't taught how to handle it. And it's actually sad, but it's a wide range of emotions when I watch that. It's like comedic, sad, and just downright shake your head. I don't know. But that is kind of the things that we're coming up against. I try to show you this because that's the mindset of some of these people that were up, that they're trying to tear down this whole American constitutional republic. Okay. That's this coming up generation that may be leading someday and are leading in some cases. Anyway, it was just, I don't know, very interesting. So moving on, another set of mindset that you have also are those that are really, actually, they're calling for violence. And you don't want to believe this as an American, that you just don't think what this couldn't possibly be happening here, because we're supposed to be the land of the free, home of the brave. We get along with everybody. At least as a conservative, that's my thought about everything. We just get along. We want to get along with everybody, and this is how we think. So, but that is not how everyone thinks, especially lately. So, this is what people are saying and about the passing of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and the thought that we might put another justice, through the Senate and vote on another justice, that Trump is going to put forth, which he has put forth a list, by the way, a very good list. I have not seen a list from the Biden campaign yet of who he would put forth, which is, we're 40-something days away from the election, y'all. And we haven't even had a debate. We haven't even had a presidential debate. We don't have a list of justices that he might put forth. So it's just kind of concerning, but I wanted to show you what people are saying. And this is from the left and the words that they are saying. And I'm going to do a couple of links, and I wanted to show you and bring up a very important point that I didn't even think about, because Ted Cruz is a great constitutionalist. He's memorized the whole thing. But here on Todd Starnes, the left is threatening violence if Senate Republicans confirm President Trump's nominee to replace Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. And here's just a list of some of what they're saying. So if McConnell jams someone through, which he will, there will be riots. I mean, that's the nicest one that I've found. And there are some bad words in this. I just want to warn you on some of these tweets. But I want to show you also the president's reaction to this, which, if you really follow him, this is the person that he is, okay? So this is down here, if McConnell jams someone through, there will be riots. And let's see, I think this is the one where it says, nope, that's not it. So hold on just a second. I'll come back over to this one. All right. A Canadian professor at a university. This is a professor now teaching kids. I know he's in Canada, but he's teaching children, our college kids, a political science professor. And here's what he said on his Twitter: burn Congress down before letting Trump try to appoint anyone to SCOTUS. That's exactly what he said. Now, he tried to backtrack that statement. Saying I didn't really mean burn it down. If somebody took that as violence, then they're the ones that have a problem, not me. But yeah, that's what he said. The other one that you see here is actually a member of the Wisconsin Ethics Commission. This one's interesting. Effing A, if you can't shut it down, burn it down. Okay, right. So let's listen to Trump's actual reaction. I love this. This is great.
Yeah. She just died? Wow. I didn't know that. You're telling me now for the first time. She led an amazing life. What else can you say? She was an amazing woman. Whether you agreed or not, she was an amazing woman who led an amazing life. I'm actually sad to hear that. I am sad to hear that. Thank you very much.
So that was his off the cuff, he wasn't notified. This is his reaction, because when the news came out that she had passed away, he was actually in the middle of a speech. So he wasn't, they didn't know about it until afterwards. And this is his first knowledge of it as he's walking back to Air Force One. And that was his reaction. Very classy way to react. And that was really nice. But, everybody is already jumping on this, burn it down if they try to, we're shutting this country down if Trump and McConnell try to ram through an appointment before election. And this guy, he used to be on CNN. If they even try to replace her, we burn the entire effing thing down. I mean, time after time after time. And Ted Cruz, I'm trying to find where he said this. I think it was on this one. He had a really interesting point. Yes, right here. He, if you'll remember, back on before, like Chuck Schumer and Hillary Clinton, they both said that even in election year, the American people should have a voice in the selection of their next Supreme Court justice. He's saying that it shouldn't be filled till the next president, but that's not what he said before. And Ted Cruz, let me see if I can find where Ted Cruz, right here. attention, this is what Chuck Schumer said before. Senate has confirmed 17 SCOTUS justices in presidential election years. Do your job. That was a previous tweet from Chuck Schumer. So it's very interesting how they flip back and forth, when it suits their needs or whatever. And it just gets, that's why you have to be really careful about, what you're getting your news from, who you're listening to, because it's not always the truth. You have to listen to the truth. But I have another article that I think is extremely important, that Dana Lash, if you don't follow her, she is a really great, Second Amendment advocate, but she also has a blog and a radio show, and she's just a brilliant woman. And she did an article that I thought had some really good points to it. And then I'm going to close off with the Intercessors for America article on that. So the points from Dana Lash. This is very interesting. And I'm just going to go through this. She's talked about when she heard about it, and Ginsburg and the late Justice Antonin Scalia were good friends, even with their disagreements. And I always thought they best modeled how civility through differences ought to be, and how these differences shouldn't rob one of friendship. And I hoped it wouldn't be lost in the news of her passing, but sadly, I think it has already been lost. And if you didn't also notice, I think she talks about here at the end, and I'll bring it up if she doesn't bring that up. So she wants to bring, she talked about, Trump's reaction as he came off the stage, and was really classy. But now the fight starts, and there are several components of this fight to consider, and she talks about them. The first one is the left's argument that McConnell can't move on a nominee during an election year. And you will see this argued nonstop. They already are. You've seen it. That's why they're screaming, burn it down, riots, and that kind of thing. But they are wrong. First, they supported confirming SCOTUS nominees during a presidential election year. See, Chuck Schumer's 2016 tweet helpfully was left up. And this is what he tweeted, what I just said. Senate has confirmed 17 SCOTUS justices in presidential election years. No Supreme Court shutdown. Do your job. So take it from Chuck Schumer. Do your job, Senate. Nominate and put through a new justice. The first is not the McConnell rule. It's actually the Biden rule. And he even differed from Obama on it. Mr. Obama has said it is his constitutional responsibility to name a successor to Justice Scalia, who died February 13th at the age of 79. This is Biden saying this. The president has reacted with incredulity to the suggestion by several Republican presidential candidates and senators, including Mitch McConnell of Kentucky, the majority leader, that the decision should wait until after Mr. Obama has left office. Historically, this has not been viewed as a question, Mr. Obama said last week. There's no unwritten law that says that it can only be done on off years. That's not in the constitutional text. But in a speech on the Senate floor in 1992, Mr. Biden, then the chairman of the Judiciary Committee, said there should be a different standard for a Supreme Court vacancy that would occur in the full throes of an election year. That president should follow the example of a majority of his predecessors and delay naming a replacement, Mr. Biden said. If he goes forward before then, the Senate should wait to consider the nomination. But Democrats played power games to change the rules and benefit themselves under Harry Reid. Okay? And this helped pave the way for Trump to fully accomplish his judicial agenda. So it was the Democrats that actually changed that rule under Harry Reid. Okay? They kind of didn't think forward, I guess. I don't know. But Harry Reid, here's a tweet here. Harry Reid will go down in history for having handed the court to conservatives when he took the first step toward eliminating the 60-vote requirement for confirmation. So, yeah, that's what they did. The Democrats did that themselves. And McConnell reminded senators of these facts late last night when he cautioned them to keep your powder dry. This is not the time to prematurely lock yourselves into a position you may later regret. He explained that the Biden rule, which provided that the Senate will not fill Supreme Court vacancies that arise in presidential election years when the presidency and the Senate majority are held by opposing parties. So there are people that are saying, well, Mitch McConnell's changing his mind. Well, no. He said he wouldn't, that it was okay to do it if the president was the opposite party of the Senate, okay, which is what was in the Obama years. The Senate was Republican held. So that's why they said, wait. Anyway, she goes on to talk about McConnell's statement. The Senate must advise and consent, but they may determine when to vote or not vote. McConnell and Senate Republicans did just this with Merrick Garland. Remember this going forward. So the second one is, this is very interesting to me that this statement came out about what she said on her deathbed. And it's actually really sad if this truly is what she said. So Dana goes on, says, I saw this headline last night. Ruth Bader Ginsburg's last wish was not to be replaced until a new president is installed, setting up extraordinary political crisis as Mitch McConnell vows Donald Trump's nominee will receive a vote in the Senate. This is not her choice. Okay? This is an important paragraph here to listen to, y'all. Listen. These seats are not to be owned or inherited or directed in any way except by the free will of the voter. We are not ruled by tyrants in black cloth. Okay? The Supreme Court is not the supreme rulers of the land. They are a co-equal branch of our government. This is something that is just not taught anymore, and we've kind of slid away from that in our government, in our thinking. And we tend to think the Supreme Court is the end-all, rule-all, and they've gotten things wrong before, okay? The Dred Scott decision, hello. So they've been wrong before. So while we Christians pray for Ginsburg's family in their time of mourning and for our nation to weather this unavoidable fight, it's completely acceptable to note this. In fact, your free American responsibility compels it. Many have taken to blaming Trump for this fight over her seat, but this fight wasn't his creation. It was Ginsburg's creation. Ginsburg could have listened to those who urged her to retire when Obama was still in office instead of shutting them down. That she did not, and instead chose to try to shape policy through her seat on the court, left Democrats to gamble with chance and a tense nation to face further unrest in the wake of her death. Many reject her argument about Senate hurdles, considering Democrats controlled Congress and Harry Reid led the Senate. Her short-sightedness has cost her party. There's also something to be said about how people who tried to undermine a free and fair election by abusing FISA procedure and persecuting private citizens over politics have no moral or ethical authority to demand we can and cannot vote on confirming a nominee, but that's for another time. So you see the hypocrisy here. But this is extremely important to note it. I love this sentence. It's not her choice who gets to replace her seat. These are not seats owned or inherited or directed in any way except by the voters. We are not ruled by tyrants in black cloth. That is so important to remember. Okay? All right, this is the third thing, the point that she's trying to make. The Kavanaugh battle was barely 2 years ago. Many senators won't soon forget how heinously he and they were treated by the Marxist left during that spectacle, nor will voters. Democrats overplayed their hands so badly it helped boost the midterm election results in favor of Republicans. There is legitimate fear this year, however, that Democrats could take back the Senate. This is going to be a brawl unlike anything you've ever seen. Fortunately for Republicans, Trump is a brawler and has outright said he will fight, but the Republican Senate must fight with him. McConnell said he will fight too. So, yeah, that's extremely important. So, there are some Senate races that are very important to be watching and praying about. And there are also some Republicans who tend to vote and go with the Democrats on some issues, and we know who they are: Lisa Murkowski, Susan Collins, and unfortunately Mitt Romney. The fourth thing is last week Trump released a list of potential SCOTUS nominees. In these early stages, I sort of like the idea of a Amy Coney Barrett nomination simply for the storm it would create for Democrats having to woo both suburban moms and Catholic voters for Biden while Kavanaughing a suburban Catholic mom nominee. In all seriousness, though, the nominee should be blisteringly vetted before they hit the hearing. O'Connor disappointed Reagan, Roberts did Bush, and I would hate to think we'd rush through an untested and unscrutinized candidate that may disappoint Trump. The right has already had early skirmishes over Barrett, which may be a good thing. But this fight isn't just limited to the nominee. You need to back your senators, and she talks about her show that she's going to be talking about on Monday. And Ted Cruz brought this point up, that we need a full court. Okay, we're down to 8 justices, and Democrats have indicated they may litigate the heck out of the election results, which may end up in the Supreme Court. And there could be a serious constitutional crisis if we don't have a full court. So that was the tidbit of info that I thought was really important to understand why we need to have a full court. Because we already know the Democrats are going to be not conceding. They've already announced it, full force announced that they're not going to be conceding this election regardless, okay? Twitter, Facebook have already said they're going to shut down anybody that says that even posts, well, Trump won or something like that. They're going to remove it and shut it down. They won't allow that kind of talk. This is just crazy that this is happening, but it is happening. So we need a full court. And I really thought that point was important to note, that Ted Cruz brought that up. Was very, very important to note that. So what do we do? I love the last article from, as Christians, from Intercessors for America. And they put out this article. And I'm going to read that, and I'll really encourage you all to just be in spiritual warfare, battle prayer over this the next few weeks and months, because it's going to be a battle, a serious battle over in that, spiritual battle. A lot of prayer. We need a lot of prayer. So this is what ifapray.org. Go to ifapray.org. Follow them. They're an excellent source for prayer and for news. So this is what they started. This is the article here. Lord, we pray for this seat to be filled with your choice. Help us to faithfully pray about this transition. As justices near retirement age, speculation abounds as to when and under which administration they will step down or even pass away. One justice has been like the cat with 9 lives, Justice Ruth Bader Ginsburg. She's gone through a lot. Diagnosed and treated for cancer 4 times, hospitalized multiple times for pneumonia, falls, and other undisclosed illnesses. Ginsburg held onto her seat perhaps longer than most people expected. She has died at age 87. Now her seat is vacant. Incidentally, she was Jewish, but she died and left this vacancy on Rosh Hashanah, the Jewish New Year. A day of new beginnings. Is this a new beginning for the Supreme Court and perhaps a turning point for our nation? In preparation for an open seat that may occur at any time, a faithful group of believers have been interceding regularly for the seats that could be vacated. Seeking God, claiming those seats for God's chosen judges, is the focus of this small, dedicated group of intercessors. Called to intercede particularly for the Supreme Court, these lawyers, leaders, and intercessors are well informed on the happenings of the court and its processes and the potential candidates who may be put forth by the nominating administration. Some of them even have the stature and standing to speak into the process of suggesting and vetting potential SCOTUS candidates. But most of all, they have the God-given burden and willingness to obey, regularly praying as the Lord has led. Meeting via conference call and occasional on-site prayer at the Supreme Court grounds, this group has been praying in earnest for God's direction for the court for nearly 3 years. Certainly, there are other pockets of people who have had the burden to pray for the Supreme Court, the vacancies, and potential nominations. God puts similar calls on the hearts of intercessors across the nation. It is comforting to know that this moment has been well prayed for in advance. Let's join them in the work and word that God gave them to pray for a Deborah to fill the vacant seat. Pray for a God-fearing, brave, and just judge who will uphold and defend the Constitution as well as God's wisdom and values. The battle has begun publicly, but the preparation has been happening behind the scenes for years. Thank God for these faithful and persistent intercessors who have been laying the groundwork of intercession for our participation in prayer today. God is so good. He gives us a burden to intercede. We don't always know the timing of when he will use those prayers for his purposes. Let's pray that God would be pleased and glorified by this next justice. And they list the nominees that President Trump has released. And down here, and I could put that link later on in the comment section on the Facebook page, but his 25 or so nominees. So definitely be in prayer. This is going to be a very interesting coming up couple months, but do be prepared for, I mean, you've seen it. You've seen them calling for some extreme measures if we try to put forth a judge. I mean, we have to have that. Ted Cruz was absolutely correct in that. We can't have a tie in a Supreme Court when this would be just an unprecedented constitutional crisis in that manner. So be in prayer for that. I wanted to bring that little bit of tidbit of information to you about that. Also, obviously we're praying for that family, but it's very interesting times that we live in, and I don't know, just keep following the news, the true news. There's a lot of good information out there if you know where to look. So that's why I try to bring that to you in one place, and you can learn about that. But God bless you. Thanks for following me. Go to StraightTalkWithMJ.net. That's my website. And on the blog page, it has all my podcast episodes. And I'm trying to get some more interviews and have a new sponsor coming up that I'm going to be talking to you about here pretty soon. And it's pretty exciting. But anyway, God bless.